Well, we were just talking about earlier about how all the new brands there's so many new brands that keep coming in. We were talking about the room getting smaller and smaller.
Right.
It's an interesting that you bring that up. Gray, you're doing 5 new hotels right now. Are any of them an independent hotel?
We're involved in one project that's soft branded in Asheville, North Carolina.
In Asheville, and that's a market right there. We talked about
fantastic market.
And we were talking about kind of the whole. You brought up the term lifestyle, but nowadays it's millennial. Are you finding that millennials are more attracted to staying at a hotel that has that kind of story, but that usually is part of like a soft brand versus staying at a whether it's a Comfort or a Hampton, whatever it is, they kind of like that idea of having an independent experience.
They do. I'm not personally the marketing expert, but the the information I'm fed from the folks in our company who are telling us that millennials, they have the most buying power as a group, but individually they don't have a lot of money.
Right.
So they're looking for value, and they put a huge premium on the experience they're having, versus say Gen X or whatever other segment you want to. When I came up, it was the goal to have a Rolex watch and a BMW or a Mercedes in your parking lot. The younger folks today, that's not that important to them, or most of them. They're more into an experience, to be able to tell one of their friends that they had this incredible journey when they traveled, while they're sitting having a coffee at Starbucks or something like that.
They're not as material.
They're not as material. Yeah, it was a long way to say that.
What's the current buzzword? Authenticity.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
That's what they're looking for.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because we did an independent hotel that ended up going autograph collection in Boston, and it gets a great rate, and it's running ridiculous occupancy.
Yeah.
And it was designed with a millennial mindset. And they will spend a ridiculous amount of money at the bar and the restaurant, but they're not staying there at $500-600 a night. It's still the Gen X, right? And even some baby boomers that want that experience, that want to live like a millennial and act like a millennial, but they're probably not going to the rooftop bar till 2 a.m. But let the millennials spend $12 drinks.
Sit in the lobby with their laptop and coffee and not talk to anyone, but just know that people have people around them and kind of just.
So they're both going there for the experience, but they're getting something different out of it, because, again, to Mark's point, is they're not at the level yet where they can maybe have an expense account, or care about, they don't want that most expensive room. They'll go to the bar and the lounge and then go stay somewhere else for value and a different experience. They're probably going to an Airbnb.
Is that what we're seeing with new brands? The way we were talking about the rooms getting smaller because of that whole playing to that millennial just mindset in general, and that could be. And I find that that's a worry sometimes, that people are kind of just developing hotels for a particular psychograph, maybe, or.
Well, it's interesting because that goes back to we were involved in a project that was kind of difficult to finance, because it was a product that had a very small room. The rooms were like 185 square feet. It couldn't be repurposed as something else. It was a phenomenal location, but we have 4 levels of this hotel is now all about the public space, because from a construction cost standpoint, it's extremely expensive on the cost per square foot, but the density brings the cost per key down, so they can really get this great experience at a lower rate, just because it's so dense, right? And it may be traditionally a 200-room hotel, but they're getting close to 400 rooms just because the rooms are so small.
Yeah.
So it offers that experience, that high-end quality, because it's expensive to build, but it's giving you a small room that you can afford. Yeah. So it's kind of it's breaking that barrier.
I think it brings up an interesting point, and probably being the youngest person at this table. When I go to Boston, I want to stay at a hotel where I'm going to get an experience, right? But when Gray stays at Boston, or when Mark stays at Boston, are we really looking for that much of a difference in our stay? You want an experience-based stay. You want internet that works, a comfortable room with great furnishings. So the whole millennial mindset, what we find in many of our hotels is, that's the buzzword of today, and millennials are the future and everything else. But our core customer still isn't millennials. Mm-hmm. And when you look at what our core customer is telling us today and what they're looking for in these markets and what the millennials are looking for, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So and it just the whole millennial. Well, you're delivering a great great value, experience.
Clean room.
I
I
think
mean,
apart from-
those will never.
Yeah.
You know.
Apart from the expense account, traveler, everybody else is looking for that value.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's looking for the experience. So he's absolutely right. The buzzword being millennial, what do they want? Because everybody's talking about it. Every business is focused on it. I think it's different for consumer electronics than it is for a hotel room. And I think we sometimes misinterpret what the millennials want, but retired travelers want the same thing.
Well, I think you're seeing something kind of unique happening is, all the decisions and design and amenities and things like that are driven by this millennial guest. But like you said, they're not really the ones staying in the rooms. The baby boomers are the ones who really have the money. And if you look at the key sort of psychographic behind the baby boomers, is these are folks who don't think they're old and refuse to think that they're old. And so they're loving these hotels, as Justin said.
I do refuse to accept that.
I wasn't
Well, I mean,
saying you're a baby boomer. You're more Gen X,
You
I
know
think.
what? Millennials are an excuse, actually,
Right.
for all of us to design to a more of a contemporary, clean, simple design approach.
Right.
And it gives us all an opportunity to have the same experience. And you're right. We want to be around the millennials. If they like it, must
Yeah, but
be
I'm
good, so
seeing
we'll
almost
do it.
this kind of thing where it's like
Yeah.
you're building hotel rooms now for some of these millennial-minded brands that are it's just a cheaper products a little bit.
not
We're not
necessarily.
seeing. I mean, not necessarily.
No, not
But
necessarily.
but some of the amenities you lose, like we were talking about the closet. That's not a closet. It's just a space with some hangers on it. I mean, it's a different kind of. From
Well,
a
there
word,
are
it's not-
there are some lifestyle brands that are coming out with that, but if you really take a look at the soft branding, or the independent, I think it's more the size of the room. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think the finishes are cheaper. In
okay.
fact, there's
More.
sometimes they're
Yeah.
more luxurious because you can do a better job in a smaller box.
Right.
Okay.
And you can't fill up the entire hotel with millennials, right? I mean, you have 7 days,
With the
different
bus- yeah.
segments, groups. You just can't fill them up, even if you design it for them.
Yeah.
And the hotel in Boston that you're talking about, there were no clocks in the rooms.
And let's face it, if you want
Rated
to.
badly on TripAdvisor because there were no clocks.
I know,
want-
but that
you
was
want
that was a
independence
conscious
to be
decision,
memorable, right?
Right. Yeah, you do.
What you don't want them to do is have the memory that it was cheap.
Yes.
You're right.
You want the memory that it was, aha.
Well, I think a
And
lot
it
of
was small,
yeah.
but they had some really interesting touch points on it.
Well,
Right? Whether sometimes you can have a no closet, but what you can have as far as shelving and what's in the open closet can be aha
Yeah.
moment.
Sure.
I think you'll
get
see
that.
some pure play straight on the millennial hotels in markets like where they're building pod hotels with an
Right.
amazing bar experience and where they're putting these kids in a shoebox, but they're giving them a great experience because otherwise these kids are going to be completely priced out of markets like Boston and San Francisco and New York. So you'll see some really specific marketing in the top 10 cities in the country
Yeah.
or around the world, but for the most part, I think the guests generally want the same thing.
Well, Ian Schrager's building a public hotel in New York, or it's open, and it's luxury for all kind of thing, where the rates are, definitely sub 200, and as you know in New York, if you're doing that, you're
He has the public in Chicago.
Yeah,
if
Chicago,
anybody's been
too.
there, but it's an interesting experience. Some of
Yeah.
the rooms are, well, you can turn around and change your mind, but not easily.
Yeah.
Have you been to it?
I have, yeah.
And you were not impressed?
I was very impressed. They executed the F&B
Okay.
experience very, very well.
Yeah.
And the design was very unique, and the touch points, in the room, even the amenities,
Yeah.
were very well themed.
Right.
Yeah.
Did an excellent job with it.
Huh.
And that
Well,
was one of the early. That was one of the early, really standout properties
Yeah.
in New York. I mean, that was a select service independent property.
Okay. Well, I was just saying about the whole millennial thing debate is that I know baby boomers are, I'm against it, with Gen Xer that sometimes act more like millennial than some millennials. Actually, I think it's just you get kind of pigeonholed in saying that because someone is of a certain age.
If Jerry took off his jeans, you should see the tattoos on his
I
face.
know he's got like
Yeah, it's on my butt.
he's got a sleeve, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jerry's a true hipster. We know that.
That's my Harley. I sold my Harley.
Yeah. What about just going back to the customer? Do they even know that it's a soft brand anymore? I mean, what is the kind of do you necessarily as a brand want them to know that they're staying at an Ascend property? I know it's kind of in the a soft brand is in the background, but I mean, how much of it is?
No, I think the approach is we've got these loyal customers, whether they're a Choice Privilege member or just a very loyal Choice guest, and they're going to a specific city like a Florence, and they see our other brand options on our website, and they see the Hotel Florence and say that looks unique. And like we said, the way we buy hotel rooms is different now. You do it visually, and you see the pictures, and you see the location that's right downtown, and that looks compelling. And they click, and they do so with the comfort knowing that it's part of a larger system. That helps them make that decision. We've all tried to take our family on a vacation somewhere where there wasn't any branded product, and you're going to TripAdvisor. I'm like, God, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this. I want to make sure I'm not checking into a house of horrors, and trying to make the right decision.
Well, I think there's something to that there's a sense of security knowing. I mean, I was just in Winston-Salem, and we were going to stay at a hotel. It was like the Winston-Salem Hotel, but it was just an independent hotel. But then if you scroll down to the bottom and I see the Ascend icon there, as a traveler, there's that built-in sense of it's going to be an independent-minded experience, but there's still a little bit of security in knowing that it's part of a global chain with some semblance of standardization and a level of
Well, it circles
certainty.
back to like Bruce was talking about with the banks. It gives you a little insurance. Okay, I know.
Yeah.
Somebody behind this making sure it's correct.
Right.
Plus, a lot of our soft brand properties under Ascend are really where our guests, we've got some hardcore business travelers that are staying at Cambrias or staying at Comfort Suites, and that's where they stay during the work week. But when they want to take their family away, they don't want to go to one of those business hotels. They want to take them somewhere unique, and usually what we're finding is that's where our guests are redeeming some of their points or earning points on stays on vacation. So.